live. The people can see us. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Season 2 of Burn Bryte. I am so excited to be here, to be playing this game again, and to be playing with some friendly faces and some new friendly faces. So I will introduce those folks in just a moment here. But welcome, everybody. If this is your first time here, if you have never checked out the Burn Bryte stream, welcome. We are so excited to have you. Burn Bryte is a wonderful science fantasy game made for Roll20. So you are going to be seeing this game here live in action over the course of this stream. We are going to show you the tabletop, so how it actually looks when you play in Roll20. And of course, this game, Burn Bryte, is set in the galaxy of Olaxis, which is facing a crisis of sorts as this phenomenon called the burn ever encroaches towards the center of this galaxy. So it is a galaxy in peril, but it is also a galaxy filled with heroes. Heroes who are going to be depicted by the wonderful people around me. So Gnome, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? You're one of our brand new cast members. So who are you, Gnome?
I'm Gnome. Hi. What's up? How you doing? I'm super excited to be playing Burn Bryte. I'm Gnome on Twitter and Twitch as Nomadic, and I do a whole bunch of TTRPG things in TTRPG spaces. Mostly space. Lots of space.
Yay!
When you asked me to come play, it was immediately like I think I just yelled space.
Yeah,
at you
yeah.
was definitely
And I
somewhere
was like,
in my email
yes,
response.
he is the one.
Yep, that was it. Send.
Phenomenal. And of course, returning cast member, Nasim. Who are you?
Hey, hello, I'm Nasim, and I am a member of the Venture Maidens podcast regularly and streaming on the Venture Maidens Twitch channel. I'm very excited to be back for season 2 and see the Vam Fam again. I'm so excited.
Oh, yes. And another of our new cast members here, Lisa. Who are you?
That's me. Hello, everybody. I am Lisa Penrose. I'm very cold, so you might see my blankie. I am the brand manager for Dungeon Masters Guild, a platform where you can publish D&D 5th edition adventures and supplements and all that jazz. But I'm also a D&D writer myself and a variety streamer, if the variety is all things witchy flavored.
Yes. And finally, another of our returning crewmates, Eugenio. Who are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Eugenio. You might know me as DM Jazzy Hands on the Twitters. I am the dungeon master and producer of an actual play D&D podcast called The Last Refuge. So if you're done checking out the Venture Maidens, come check us out. I am also a variety streamer on my own Twitch channel and the storyteller on Sunday nights for Into the Motherlands over on Cipher of Tears channel, that new other sci-fi setting. So I too apparently am doing lots of space these days. Here, though, I am very excited to come back and spend some time with our good friend Atash Telenast, the Zavoy slug person who loves their friends and continues loving them after they may or may not pass from this mortal coil, let's say.
Let's say that. Yes. And I am going to be your game master. My name is Celeste Konowich. I am a freelance designer, streamer, podcaster. You can catch me all over the internet at C Konowich. But yeah, Burn Bryte from Roll20. Awesome. Before we dive in, I want to tell you all you folks about a little Tiltify campaign. You might see this little bar above us here. We are once again helping to support Code 2040, which is an amazing organization that helps break down some of the barriers that Black and Latinx coders are facing in the tech industry. So a phenomenal cause, and every time we hit $100 on the donation bar, we are going to raffle off a copy of this amazing adventure, After Midnight, which is, of course, the campaign we are going to be playing through this season. There is a lot of really good stuff in this adventure, and I cannot recommend donating enough so you can enter to win. And also our lovely mods in the chat here, thank you mods, are going to be posting how you can enter to win. I hear the code is blast off, but you know, I don't know. I'm just a guy. I don't know. Yeah, so I guess I should mention After Midnight, that's the campaign we're going to be playing through, which is the second full-length campaign that has ever been published for Burn Bryte, so it is very cool. This is a first look at this new campaign that just launched during Roll20Con, nay, but a couple weeks ago. So this campaign, unlike Burning Daylight, which is the campaign we played before, is a little bit longer. So that means that you are going to see us 12 weeks in a row instead of 10 weeks last season. So, and this campaign is sort of a mystery that takes us to a lot of new places in Olaxis. So we are going to see a lot of different locations, explore a little bit more of this galaxy in peril. But I guess that's enough for me. Let's dive in here. Let's zoom in on our story. And where we are starting here is, of course, in the galaxy of Olaxis, on a station called Golgi the Magnificent. And what you see when you are approaching Golgi from space is the corpse of some kind of giant being. It's hard to tell exactly what it is when you get up close because this corpse is so massive and pieces of it have been petrified. So it's really like this large skeletal / rocky form just floating in space. Yes, already.
Sorry.
With the question.
You're telling me that this Golgi is in fact a Golgi body?
I don't make the
It's
rules.
It's a little cellular biology.
I don't make the rules. I'm just here to tell you the rules.
All right. I'll go.
So what we are seeing here, of course, is the great skull of this thing, which some of you might recognize as it almost looks reptilian in shape. It has this long kind of spiked beak and these large horns that pieces of them have shattered and are now actually orbiting the rest of this body because it's so large itself that it has its own gravitational pull. And situated in one of these eye sockets here, we see a piece of glass that has been inserted to cover the eye socket here. And through this very large window is a cafeteria. Here in this cafeteria, there are neat rows of long black tables. There is one of those little buffet stands that has been set up on either side. Behind it, you see an Eno in like a black robe who is dishing out just vile portions of food to anybody who passes by with identical little black trays. And at one of these tables, there are 5 individuals. One is a peacecraft. So one of the large, sapient, organic robots that populate this galaxy here, and her metal has been painted like bright pink with this large red cross kind of in the center of her chest here. And sitting with her are 4 other individuals. So let's go around the table here and hear a little bit about who we see. So Gnome, why don't you describe Little Voice for us? What do we see?
So Little Voice is anything but little. They stand, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 20 feet tall. They are completely made of metallic panels that are just this beautiful like white sheen. So anytime that like light reflects off of it, it just kind of glistens with like cleanliness and this like kind of aura around him. He has these illuminated blue eyes that are just sharp little slants, no mouth in his faceplate. He has 2 kind of spiked back antennae. And essentially, he is very lean. You can see some of the corded wiring that surges through his body, and he is a mech. He is a mech boy.
A big mech
He's a
boy.
mech, a sentient mech, which is amazing.
Yes.
It's great.
And sitting
Love
next to Little Voice, who is this very large presence in this cafeteria, even larger than the other peacecraft sitting at this table, I would say. She stands maybe only 12 feet tall or so. Vam, why don't you describe yourself? What do we see when we see Vam Fam?
So Vam Fam is a mass of bugs and insects that has grown from their previous size of about 7 feet high to closer to 9 feet high and a solid foot wider than they once were, because we have acquired a greater family in our travels. And we are massive bugs. Our horde of insects are blue with a sort of duochrome pink shine in the light. And we don't like to shape legs. It's unnecessary effort for no one's benefit, really. So we look as if we're a massive pillar of insects moving towards you, though we do have, flexible moving wispy arms for our weapons that are constantly floating within us, and our items are constantly circulating in our being. And I have a massive cycloptic eye in the shape of a cat's pupil, that tall slant.
And next to this individual here, Lisa, why don't you describe Ciela Glass for us?
So Ciela Gloss is an Eno. So imagine her, she's a humanoid cat, but imagine her kind of having the traits of a spotted sphinx cat. No hair. Her face is like super wrinkly, so she kind of looks pissed all the time, although she's really quite sweet. And she's wearing these purple robes with like little lime green embroidery in it. And she's actually from this planet, this celestial being, this station. So she's taking it very seriously that she's sitting with a bunch of folks who are maybe not from the station, and she's pointing out ZC's Z buffet, you need one of these. And she's kind of like pushing the tray towards Little Voice. Do you eat? What about these? Do you eat these? And just like trying lots of things, trying to be a really good host.
Oh, heck yeah. And then the final person sitting at this table, Eugenio, why don't you describe Atash today for us?
Atash today, and for some time now, is sitting with these other four individuals in the body of an Ulrun, and it is in fact the body of Oppo, the cult leader from the Burning Dawn cult. That's what they were called, right? And Atash has rather taken a liking to Oppo's form. There are a few differences from when we last saw them, though, having just acquired Oppo as one of their possible forms. There are pouches and bags and sacks sort of all over Atash Oppo, and all of them are just bursting with crystals of all different shapes and colors and sizes. And actually, from afar, there's almost enough of them that it just looks like a super overgrown Ulrun that maybe has just a lot of extra crystal mass. But as you get closer, you notice that while the Ulrun form is indeed crystalline, also this person has just collected a lot of like fun space
shocking
rocks.
Number of rocks.
A shocking number.
Fantastic. So, pulling back a little bit in time, all of you have been invited by this pink peacecraft that you are sitting now opposite you to have this conversation. Maybe all of you have different ways of how you know this person, but Jade Crucible is somebody who appeared in our last adventure. So both Atash and Vamfam, she was the one who set you on that initial quest to defeat the Daylight Cult, to rescue some of these prisoners and bring them back to Azobni. And ever since you had successfully completed that mission, she has been a reoccurring figure in your lives. Because Jade works for the Alliance of Relief and Conservation, otherwise known as the ARC, which is sort of this scattered organization of do-gooders across Olaxis. They don't have a lot of resources. They don't really have a centralized form of government or body, but they do the best they can. And Jade found some remarkable heroes in you both, and so she has been a source of jobs over these past few months as you all have continued to do good. around Olaxis. So that's how you know her. She had reached out and asked you, of course, to meet her here, where she was going on a medical mission at Golgi Station. But I did want to check in and ask, Lisa, how did Ciela Gloss come to know Jade Crucible?
Ciela Gloss has been on welcome wagon duty. So she's sort of like a tour guide of Golgi, and is the one who welcomed Jade.
Yeah, and I think Jade, is absolutely fascinated by what happens here on the Golgi system, because Golgi is home to a very interesting group of individuals known as the Mortem Syndicate, which is a group of mages obsessed with the practice of necromancy, which is technically illegal in most parts of Olaxis. So here on Golgi Station, however, the practice of necromancy, of discovering these secrets, persists. People are trained in its arts and hope one day to use their knowledge to bring back those lost in the burn. So
everybody deserves a second chance.
Exactly. And Jade had been sent here to help out with some of the medical issues you might expect come up when you're dealing with such a large number of corpses. So she has been sort of a friendly third-party agent to the member of Golgi Station, whereas other individuals who work specifically for governments of the planet maybe can't deliver medical supplies to Golgi But she has been friendly, she has been curious, and I think probably sort of a friend to you. She's definitely latched on to you as the first, kind person she found here, and has spent quite a bit of time with you. And then Gnome, tell us about how did Little Voice come to know Jade Crucible?
Answered a job ad, essentially. Came from a different sector, and was looking for work, and the ARC is a noble service to provide for, and as a peacecraft, who are you if you can't serve others? So that is how he met Jade.
Yeah. And with all of that in mind, Jade had asked you all to meet her in the cafeteria here, because she has a mission for the ARC. There's a little bit of trouble going on, and she, of course, wanted to call on Atash and Vamfan as two people with a great deal of experience, but also Jade concedes that, since you did part ways with Lou and Ola, who are currently off helping some Cathuks relocate in a different part of Olaxis, she thought that maybe you could use a little bit of help. So she called in two of the best that she knew, and here you all are. And as she kind of pushes around some of this food on this tray that she can't really eat, but she did take out of courtesy, she looks around and says, "Well, thank you all so much for joining me here. It is a delight to know that so many are still interested in helping the ARC." Anyway, yes, good. Well, some of you know each other, but hopefully you'll know each other a bit better after this. But, well, I do have a job for you. If you would be willing to hear it, you would have to set out pretty immediately. We're looking for someone who has gone missing, you see.
Set out? Will we need to travel far?
It should be a couple days' journey. It will be taking you into the Ghost Belt, which is quite a dangerous region of space, but I'm hoping that you can go find them and bring them back very quickly.
That's excellent. I've never left Golgi before. I've always been here. So I am very excited to take a trip.
We are at your service. Wanda is in the best shape she's ever been.
Yes, and Little Voice, I've heard wonderful things, performance reviews from your previous missions with the ARC. It is a pleasure to meet you.
The pleasure is all mine. You said we need to leave early and as soon as possible.
Yes, not going to mince words. I enjoy that. Wonderful. Yes. Well, I have a friend, a fellow member of the ARC. Their name is Daener Olam. She was tasked with heading out into the Ghost Belt and finding some... Well, we got some word that there might be some plasma on one of the remote planets out in the Ghost Belt. So they were out to investigate in the Falnala system. They were supposed to return or arrive back here at Golgi a few days ago, and they clearly haven't. She's made no contact. We haven't had any contact with the ship, not since it was last reported being seen heading to Falnala itself, the planet the system is named for. So we need someone to go there and find them, find out what happened. It was, of course, a plasma mining vessel, which, as I'm sure you know, would attract all sort of undue attention. Yeah.
Well, I think this is something that that I can do. I'm happy to help in whatever way.
Vam is trying to nudge Atash a little. Atash, we are at a briefing. Please spare your fingers for just a moment.
Yes, this is rather important. I am giving you the mission brief.
I heard every word.
Wonderful. Well, in that case, yes, all we have is that general location. We believe they might have been heading to Falnala, so I would recommend going there and starting to look there.
One quick question, Jade Crucible. Look for who again?
Daenerys Olam.
Daenerys Olam. She is a Zavoy, a member of the ARC.
Member of the ARC, yes.
Who is leading a mission to find plasma reserves.
Plasma. Yes, of course. That was just to see if my teammates also absorbed.
And she kind of looks at you deadpan and then shifts her like LED eyes over to look towards you, Vam, and I hope it's not an imposition to be giving you 2 additional crew members. I know things have been a little tight.
Quite the contrary. As you can see, my companion here seems to venture a little off course from time to time. I would greatly appreciate the spare hands.
Well, then, excellent. Of course, the ARC will compensate you for your time. Ideally, you can bring Daenerys back to us, but if that is not an option, we would at least appreciate knowing what happened to her and to the vessel. We put a great deal of money and time into putting this crew together, and I would hate to see any evil befall Daenerys. She's a good friend of mine.
Understood.
Ciela just quietly took out some severed hands from her bag. It's what necromancers do, right? And she's just holding them. And when people look at her, she's just like, necromancer humor. Puts them back.
Yeah, a bunch of other people sitting in black robes at the cafeteria tables like laugh when you do that. And Jade continues, well, if that is all, then please head out as soon as possible. If there's anything else I can get for you, of course, let me know. You can reach me anytime with updates.
Thank you very much. And in which direction is the Ghost Belt?
Oh, yes. All right, let's go to the map, everybody. Wow, we're going to shift screens and go to the gameplay screen. Everybody ready? Whoa, here we go. Oh, wow. Here we are. We've landed. Wow. Okay, so looking at the screen here, yay, after midnight. Everybody, let's take a moment to look at this very cool...
Yeah.
Very creepy cover. Ooh, what's happening here? Nobody knows.
There's a very cute glean on the front, though.
Yeah, well, we're not looking at the cute glean. We're looking at the
scary
terror.
thing. I'm so sorry.
All right, so here we go. We have a map of Olaxis. Woo! Okay. So here is a general map of the galaxy here. And as a quick reminder, for those of you who may not know, this line here, the orange line surrounding the outside, is the burn. This is literally like a wall of, it almost looks like fire, but this reddish orange kind of plasma that eternally shifts and changes. So the edges of Olaxis are not static because the burn itself jumps and moves completely erratically as it gets closer and closer towards the center of the galaxy here. So looking at this map, you are currently on Golgi the Magnificent, which is right here, this little ship. And then you are going to be heading out towards the Falnala system, which is in the Ghost Belt area of space, which is down, or here. No, the closest point, we're going to put you over here. So basically, you're going to be traveling for like a week to get out to the Ghost Belt system over here. So you have
It's
a bit of
very
time.
far. Good.
Oh, yes. Well, I would ask that you fly quickly. She says,
Wanda's-
totally missing your your implication there.
Wanda is very good at that.
Excellent. Well, then I should get back to my duties here. But please let me know if there is anything you need or anything you would like before you leave. And she kind of, picks up her tray that's still full of food and just goes and like puts it back on the big like stand where you put all the cafeteria trays when they're done here. And then she heads off deeper into the rest of the station. Ciela Gloss, like from here, this is sort of like this nice view bay area is the general, the mess hall, like all the recreation areas. But the further down you go inside of Golgi is when you get to like the big offices and the laboratories and everything where she has been doing most of her work. So it's all of you sitting around this table.
Thank you for accepting me onto your mission. So I've not traveled much. I have always been on Golgi the Magnificent.
Ah, you hail from here.
Yes, I'm a mage trained here. So after a few mishaps, they don't let me into the laboratories anymore.
Oh my, I hope there wasn't significant damage.
Nothing that can't be fixed.
And everything can ultimately be fixed.
Such is the motto of Golgi the Magnificent.
I knew I liked it here.
Ah, little voice, you seem as though you have done much work with fellow peacecraft. Have you not?
Yes, of course. I have dedicated my life in service to others, particularly the oh my gosh, I'm blinking on the word. The
Peace.
Peace.
yes, the peace
The ARC.
craft. Yes, particularly with the ARC.
There we go.
In preserving rare biomes and acquiring resources, and teaching societies how to work together in preserving such sacred lands.
Fascinating. Much needed, noble work indeed.
Reminds me of
And-
my old work back home with recycling and conservation.
That's wonderful to hear. Atash, you said?
Yes, yes.
Pleasure to meet you. And you as well, Vampfan.
A pleasure is ours.
Very cool.
Shall we go?
Go where?
Oh, no.
We are going to the
The
Ghost
Ghost
Belt,
Belt.
Ash.
Oh, right. Yes, of course, of course.
Come, follow us. We will take you to our beloved craft, Wanda.
All right. So, any final things you want to do on this station? Anything you want to grab? Ciela Gloss, is there anyone you're saying goodbye to, or any final preparations you make?
Ciela is, you'd think that she would have a bunch of people to say goodbye to since she hails from Golgi. But she simply just goes and packs up her things. Her things maybe were already packed, knowing that Jade had a mission for her, and that's it.
So just like that, you are able to make your way towards one of the left hand of this creature of Golgi, which is where they've set up this like docking bay. There aren't a lot of ships that come back and forth between Golgi, other than the craft, of course, that you send out when you are looking for volunteers for your experiments. Other than that fleet there's not too many ships parked around here, which means that Wanda, your big, beautiful wanderer, really stands out in this empty bay here. So Wanda looked pretty rough at the beginning of season 1 here, but you all have earned a little bit more money, maybe made some cosmetic upgrades. Does Wanda look different at all on the outside now?
I think she would have to, at least. Am I muted? No. At least to whatever extent her new engine would have started to grow on the exterior. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like the amount of growth that we saw just in those last few scenes from the end of season 1 sort of indicate that, like, I bet Wanda has branches or leaves or something on the outside now.
Yeah, so Wanda, most of the growth has been contained towards the inside of the ship, but as more and more has taken over the inside, you have had to install these like solar panel windows that
Cool.
basically are open so that Wanda can take in all of the starlight as you're passing by to help the plants grow. So I imagine the ship has like now a lot of like glass kind of viewing orbs like all over it. So you have your Wanderer, which is sort of built in the C shape, almost like the Millennium Falcon in terms of a shape. But then it has, all these beautiful kind of crystalline domes over the top of it here. And I think, both Ciela Gloss and Little Voice, you can immediately see that this ship is sort of odd looking compared to others. As you look into these like glass domes, you can see like humidity inside and like the tips of leaves and plants that are like brushing up against these domes from the inside here.
Is this Wanda a good sheep? She seems vet. Not that I would know.
It is a necessary moisture. Yes, she has become.
God.
I missed Vam so much.
Me too. She is a living being in many ways, and we find it a much improved situation to our livable environment. There is fresh oxygen now, and I think you will find many places to climb and perch on for yourself.
I'm almost a little bit offended about the climbing and perching thing. Oh, good. We should hurry then, and leave Golgi as soon as possible, for dinner, of course. And I'm gonna, like, with my little bag, gonna rush onto the ship.
What does your bag look like?
Oh no. It is.
Is it like a cool like skull bag? I just want to know.
I feel like it's probably Golgi issued. And like everyone else has gotten to use theirs except for Ciela. And it's got an embossed skull on it. Yeah, a bird skull, because Golgi has a beak.
Extremely cool. Yep. So you can open up Wanda's passenger doors, and immediately as you do so, you all feel the rush of humid air come out as this greenhouse awaits you inside. So you enter through the back kind of doors. Let me. I'll put the Wanderer map on. I gotta dress this up. I promised to do it last season and I didn't, but I'm gonna put plants all over this bad boy. But there's our girl, there's Wanda. So you enter through the airlocks at the back here, and as you step into the ship, especially in the engine parts here, which are the southwest and the southeast of the ship, the growth there is very prevalent. It's sort of, if you imagine like walking around, if you ever go to a zoo and like the aviary, when you walk inside, you know how there are the paths and all around it is like jungle that's barely contained by like railing that's been installed. That's sort of the situation you have going on here inside of Wanda. So these sectors down here are just cordoned off trees that have just sprouted out of nothing. From what you can tell, they seem to grow and intermingle with the mechanical and like metal parts of the ship here. And when you get to the engines, those are the places where like the tree is thickest. It's one very solid tree that has grown very thick bark all around it, and it just kind of forms this column, just completely covering both of these engines here. And as you can move a little bit further into the ship, the growth has pretty much stayed away from like the central living areas and the bedrooms here. It's minimized there, but around like the gun turrets and everything at the front of the ship, you see lots of these little verdant leaves and twigs that have twined up and around the systems here.
As she's walking in, Ciela Gloss would like to pluck a leaf off of a plant.
All right, you do so, and you see that like the little twigs and like vines that were connecting it sort of curls and like retreats.
Oh, I'm gonna bite it a little bit, and then I'm gonna put it in a pocket.
Okay, what does it taste like? You decide.
It tastes like a little bit spinachy, but also different. Not quite like spinach,
but also kind of different. It's got a nice, robust texture. You feel like you could eat this if you had to and survive.
Okay. I'm gonna save it for later.
Okay. You do that. You put this half-eaten leaf in your pocket. And here you are. It's your ship. Things are a little bit different here than last we saw Wanda. You know that both Ola and Lou, currently they are flying a different ship because of the situation you had where two MIs were built into one ship. That wasn't quite sustainable. So once Clara sort of came into her own as an MI, she got put into a different ship. And that is currently the one that Ola and Lou are flying. So it's just Wanda right now. And this engine, of course, that you got from the Jur plant beings that have really grown into its own here. But you do, of course, have those two empty rooms now that Ola and Lou have moved out their stuff. So if you want to get set up, y'all, there's some bedrooms available. You each take a cabin. What do you put in your rooms? Let's go around. Okay, let's go around and say what all of our rooms are going to look like now. I feel like this is a really good way to get to know everybody. So I guess we can start with Atash. What does your room look like now?
So, if you recall from before,
Yes.
Atash's room had a bed and then sort of a little storage hammock.
Yeah.
For some of his other forms, for some of their other forms, and that is still true. There is still the bed for them and the storage hammock, but the storage hammock is now just completely full of crystals, and in fact, so is their bed, and so are their walls and their desk. And as they get home to Wanda and they see that Ciela Gloss and Little Voice are gonna get settled in their quarters, Atash just goes into their quarter and flops onto the most uncomfortable looking crystal mattress you have ever seen and just sort of rolls around and sort of digs in so that they're sort of in a mound of crystals.
I mean, I guess because you're an Olran, so your body is made of crystal. Maybe it's nice. It's like exfoliating.
Well, anyway, that's what Atash seems to think. I mean, they've never had an Olran tell them otherwise, so they assume that this is just how we,
This is how we live.
Yeah, we live. I didn't know what the verb was at the end of that sentence.
The owners of that mattress were like, God, we're never gonna get rid of this
No
thing.
one's
We're
ever
gonna
gonna want
buy a
this."
crystal mattress.
But they also definitely like
And then
every
you
crystal.
came along.
And then me. Also, every crystal though has its place, and there is some arcane something to it all, because Atash will absolutely notice if one of them is in the wrong place.
Oh, Oh gosh. Oh gosh. And then Vam Fam, has your room changed at all?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that some of the plant-based engine has made its way into our room, and before it was simply like a empty space that had was covered in holes in every single wall that my insects like to split off and sleep in and have like their own little cozy area, and there were lights all over the place that was constantly changing and shifting colored because we like to show off our duochromeness. It pleases us. But now, in addition to the branches from the engine, there's also like fan mail and letters and stuff from our social media following and our family that has grown. And I have got letters from people and how they're doing and updates from different planets and societies and stuff.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's so cute.
I imagine too the way Wanda works, it's sort of like with the plants, if you prune them and you keep it back, you can keep it trained in specific areas, but if you let, the branches or the growth come in, then it will like absolutely take over. So it is now a routine effort where you have to like trim back the branches to kind of keep things so you can move around on the ship freely. But it is she's a growing girl, our Wanda.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have allowed some of the branches to creep in there, they certainly have Vam and kind of make this canopy up on the ceiling area.
Yeah, I think we love it. It reminds us a little bit of home to have just like bushes and leaves everywhere.
Yeah. All right, and Gnome, what's Little Voice's room gonna look like? Any what's your brand?
So I imagine that, like, again, 15-foot Ava robot has like just this very small like satchel, right? Which isn't that small when you're 15.
Right.
It's size appropriate. And he'll go into his room and just kind of like take a moment to like let the sensor kind of scan around, determine like how big it is, just the full dimension of it, what area is like kind of like the cold spots. And his room is actually very simple. He doesn't have much, and I think we can see him like slowly unpacking each of his items. And the first thing that comes out though is just this long laser sword, and that just gets rested down, and then a long rifle, and that gets rested down, and then like an assortment of other weaponry that are just very neatly like displayed and cleaned and safe, and safeties are on and everything. And he has like this little tiny circuit board almost. It almost looks like maybe like an Arduino.
Yeah.
And he sets it down if there's like a bed rest or something that's next to where the bed is. And he doesn't even push a button. He kind of like unscrews the tip of one of his fingers, and he screws into it for a moment and plugs in. And there's just this little electrical current that's running through, as if it is like I was gonna say like a yahrzeit in English, like a memorial type candle. It is his way of carrying like some sort of like a memorial candle, essentially, and that's just like set there. And other than that, he has no need for other possessions.
And Lisa, what does Ciela Gloss's room look like?
So I imagine that these rooms, kind of similar to airplanes, where there might be like little differences between airlines, but in general, things are just general, like where they would be. Ciela, having never been on a ship before, just comes in and just immediately throws her suitcase in like a spot where like you can there's like a little storage shelf, and seems very familiar with the area. She'll take a little pouch out of her robes and kind of sprinkle this fluorescent powder on a small desk, and stack 3 tiny crystals in a triangle, and puts the dead leaf in the middle of them. And just kind of looks at it, make sure everything is set up correctly, and then goes and just sits on her very like she'll probably eventually lay out sheets that are all Mortem Syndicate issue.
Yep.
Just all her stuff just is like the pack that she got that
Yeah, the
everybody
travel
gets
kit,
at
yeah,
the Syndicate.
yeah, of
Yeah. And she just sits on the bed, and again from her robes she pulls out this little scroll of paper. And she looks at it and reads, "My name is Golgi Sostella Mortem Lai Ciela Gloskai." And then she closes her eyes and keeps repeating that just under her breath.
All right. So we all get situated in our rooms here. And of course, after a moment, you hear, you all get settled. Wanda waits a bit, and coming on, chiming in both of your rooms, it'll be Little Voice and Ciela Gloss. Oh. So you think you can just walk onto this ship and be new crew members? Is that the way it's going to be?
And
Sorry. Welcome. I hope your
That wasn't
stay
so
is
hard.
nice. So-
Wanda, we'd like to introduce you to a few new crewmates for our future travels. Here is, I will lift my hand to Ciela Gloss. This is Ciela Gloss.
Mm.
Hello?
Hello.
And here is Little Voice.
Hello, Little Voice. And you do not miss the note of little when she mentions that. So this is Wanda, which is the MI that runs this ship. So in the world of Burn Bryte, basically the most efficient way to travel is not to have like a mechanical ship that runs on gas, but rather to have a magical being known as an MI, a magical intelligence, bonded to your ship. So this is a creature that has been fused to the ship with magic. And so she exists inside the ship. There's even an MI Jack on board the ship where you can actually interface with her and like kind of step into her virtual reality where she lives. So this being is just talking to you now from the air. So at any point you can speak to Wanda while you are on board this ship. You have, I imagine you were given like certain badges, communicator badges that allow you to do so while you are on the confines of the ship. But Wanda seems to have an attitude. Both Little Voice and Ciela Gloss you can recognize immediately.
How
Little
charming.
Voice pays no mind.
That's good.
Well then, all right, we've got a bunch of new people on board. What are we doing this time?
We are going.
Ghost
Van will
Belt.
tell you. Yes.
To Fulnala, please.
Ghost Belt. Last time we did that, we well, I almost got
Had a
incinerated. We
great
sure we're
time.
going? We're sure we're going out there? Really? It's a good idea
Yes.
again.
Yes, the ARC require a team member doing very valuable work, and we must
Also-
support them where we can.
Also, I hear there are spectacular crystal formations in the Ghost Belt that no one's seen before.
Right. Okay, well, I don't know. I guess put in the coordinates and I'll see what I can do.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
This is good
Voices.
television. Beep, 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 beep.
Coordinates.
All right. So you head on up, and of course you plug in these coordinates here, and it looks like. So, are you heading just towards the system, or are you just kind of heading towards that home planet right away? Jade Crucible wasn't exactly sure where this individual had ended up.
Is there a another planet or inhabited system that is closer to our destination but not in the Ghost Belt yet, like a little further from the burn? Because you said it was going to take about a week of traveling, yeah?
Yes, about a week of traveling. So it looks like Yvlen is here. We can all look that up together.
That's still a good distance out from where we're headed. though,
Yeah,
isn't
it is pretty far. So even Golgi the Magnificent itself is technically like on the very edges of the Ghost Belt. Because that's one of the few places that could fit a giant floating omniscient corpse. And then 2, people are less likely to bother anyone who's further out into the Ghost Belt. So you think if Golgi was a little bit closer to the Heart World, they would probably face a lot more scrutiny from the governments there. We can look at the Leven system. That's hard to say.
Yeah, let's have a look, because I'm sort of inclined to maybe go a little closer into the Heartland, like do a nice curved route that'll take us a little further from the burn on the way.
Yeah. All right. So the Yevlen, oh my gosh, that word. The Yevlen system sits near the border of the Mid-Belt and the Ghost Belt. The namesake planet, once rich in plasma, has run almost dry, and the few miners who endure search for remaining wells on a planet prone to earthquakes, megastorms, and pirate raids. They take all the help from adventurers they can get. So I imagine it's sort of a frontier, almost wasteland kind of planet.
Sounds great.
Little boys would prefer not to go there.
Yeah, sounds nice.
He has to say.
Yeah.
Just-
you do. He does.
That's his backstory, so let's not go there.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, whoa.
Amazing.
Yeah, his culture is from the Ivlen system.
Yvonne.
Whoa!
That's
Oh my
amazing.
gosh! So you have
Mhm.
you know exactly probably what's going on. Like if this plasma ship from the ARC went out to the Ghost Belt to try and find plasma, there are so many people who could have interfered with them. So plasma, just in summary, so magic is very much a thing in the world of Olaxis. But all magical artifacts, spells require a substance that is known as plasma. And plasma, very similar to oil in our world, is created from the corpses of dead omniscients, like Golgi the Magnificent, but these omniscients who die on planets, and then their bodies break down into this magical substance known as plasma. The problem with that being, there's only a finite amount of plasma because there were only so many omniscients in the world. And when magic was first discovered, people hit it hard. Everything was made of plasma, plasma everywhere, free-flowing. But now that the universe is collapsing, all of those worlds out there that were unexplored that might have had plasma are literally getting swallowed up. So plasma has become a very precious and very expensive commodity. I'm sure Ciela Glass, you are aware of the constant struggle that the Mortem had trying to get enough plasma to conduct their rituals and spells. So, pirates, other factions, angry miners, anyone looking desperate, really, to make some money would be after a plasma mining vessel. That would draw a lot of attention if anybody saw it passing through.
Well, all right. Let's not go to Ivlen.
Strongly advised.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, I think just sort of as direct a path as possible if we're going to be in the Ghost Belt the whole time.
Yeah.
Unless someone else has another thought.
Yeah, can we maybe do a little research to see if there's any knowledge on if there's a particular planet in the Ghost Belt that has a higher supply of plasma?
Sure. Why don't we go ahead and make our first roll of the campaign? Whoa! Wild. Okay. So for that, what kind of skill would you like to use to do a little bit of research about basically the barriers between here and there, and maybe trying to find a most likely place to start investigating?
Let's just go with computers, and use my web knowledge to navigate the research, the information.
Nice. All right. Well, I'll say for this, because the Ghost Belt isn't as well mapped as other systems, I'm going to call this a complexity 3. So let's go ahead and roll it. First roll. How's this campaign going to be? Set the tone. Set the tone.
It's the
Oh, lame. Okay. Well, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good one. Sorry.
Okay,
Whatever.
I
It's
see
fine. All right. So with that pass, you spend a little bit of time digging into the web and trying to basically triangulate the most likely area that this mining vessel was headed. And you know that a lot of the planets in the Ghost Belt that are closer to the Mid Belt have definitely already been covered, been searched, been ransacked, like places like Yvlin, which it's like there's almost nothing left at this point because so many people have already desperately, it's the gold rush like 15 years in, right? So you can definitely tell that it's probably going to be a planet that's closer to the burn. And then so you start to narrow down the candidates, and as you are looking like at the Falnala system, Falnala, the planet itself, is one of the furthest out points there. And you know that Falnala is covered in like this forest of mushrooms, which are these just super tall forests that cover the entire planet. So it is very inhospitable for ships to land. So you know that a lot of people haven't been able to explore it, or there might potentially still be some plasma on a planet that is so difficult to navigate and so close to the burn. So that would be your best guess as a starting place to look.
Okay. Yeah, well, Atash's thought was they'd go to the richest source, but given how dangerous it is to take off and land from it, probably not.
Yeah,
If you
I'm
wanna
with you.
bring supplies with you.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
Did I just call myself Atash? That was a mistake. I meant Vam Fam.
You all start to treat each other as family.
Well, and
Vam Fam
clearly
adopts
I was just
people.
like, yes, and
Yeah.
improvisation.
Yes. Yes. And so you can certainly share this knowledge with the rest of your crew. Do we all want to talk a little bit about what our lounge area looks like again? I mean,
Oh,
Oh, well, I remember it being real groovy.
it was extremely groovy.
yeah.
Yeah, because what it looks like in the screen right now, how it kind of like dips down into a living room. We had that nice little lower
70s.
level 70s like built-in couch into the floor thing with some fuzzy pillows, a beanbag somewhere probably.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like
Like-
there's one black pillow with a bird skull on
Then
it.
your
From my
your
pack.
issue pillow.
You brought that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the idea that they gave you this travel pack and it was like all vacuum sealed really
Yeah.
tight. So like you just undo it and it's like a whole quilt and like pillows and just a bunch of clothes that have come out. It's like one of those as you've seen on
It's
TV
quantum
storage
mechanics.
things.
I mean,
yeah.
mm,
Like,
Yes.
Totally explainable.
I mean, it's
Things
wild.
where like you
what
add
they
a drop
can
of
get.
water and
Yeah.
it
Everything is a Casper mattress in space. Yes.
Everything is a Casper mattress in space.
Yep.
The wisdom you all receive from us on a weekly
yes.
basis.
Yes, my gift to you. So if you all, kind of, you can circle up in this very groovy lounge. So we can share that information. If there are any conversations you want to have about strategy or anything in particular that happens over the course of the week, let me know and let's go through these. Otherwise, we can totally just beam ahead in time. I'm a little bit curious to see what the dynamic is like on the ship for a week between these four characters.
I think there's probably a lot more like microaggressions from Vam Fam to Celia Gloss, where he's just like, oh, there's plenty of space for you to place your scratching post. Like where he just doesn't know, he hasn't spent too much time around her kind, so he's just like,
boy.
cat things, this is what I know about cats.
I feel like Ciela probably spends a lot of time in her room at first. And then the latter half of the week eventually is like, this is just what Vam Fam is like. They're trying. And just rolls with it.
Yeah. But over time, obviously, I'm sure we'll figure it out for ourselves.
Yeah, like you like Google or you do space Google, like what is this oh no, you're
He
like
hasn't spit up a hairball yet. Why?
why? What is this?
At some point, Ciela Gloss will probably ask the others, have you been on dangerous missions before?
Yes.
Are there any lessons you've learned?
Yes. Always carry extra shield batteries. it's best to hack doors rather than brute force them. And
Don't be scared to
when-
ask for help.
yes, an excellent one. Anything else, Vam Fam? Oh, never let a good corpse go to waste.
Yes.
That is something.
So
I
that's
share.
what I knew.
So at this point, I think earlier in the week, before Ciela Gloss really spent much time out of her cabin, I think then I would have taken the opportunity to just with little voice sort of demonstrate / introduce little voice to Atash's other form. So at some point, little voice, when we're hanging out here on board, Atash will sort of sit cross-legged on the ground in this Olrin body and just sort of start to leak from the Olrin's mouth this sort of white, silly putty type with a green crystal and sort of, a little mucus trail, and eventually plopping onto the ground sort of in the lap of the Olrin is Atash in his Zivoi form.
Oh, well, aren't you beautiful?
Aww.
Little voice is expressionless. Like,
Sure.
no mechanical eyebrow. Unlike me,
Yeah.
full of expression. He is not. It is just stoic, that beaming light, and but he does like lean in because how big are you in that form?
Way bigger than I should be. as a slug,
4 to
way
5
bigger than I
feet,
should
yeah.
be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a lot of oozing
Like
Yeah.
out of
a
It
solid,
takes a
mouth.
minute.
human
It
adult
takes a minute. Yep.
size slug.
No, but yes, I
Nightmarish.
think it's still like one of those like little voices, kind of like how you would like squat down to a child, right? So like his
Yeah.
pointy knee legs are like above his head, and he's kind of sitting there like this, and just like absolutely fascinated with you, and your form of beauty oozing out of this other creature.
Oh, Atash gonna take the win. You think so?
Yes, of course I do.
Oh,
All creatures are beautiful.
but I tend not to take this form because I guess I somehow managed to not mention that this giant 4.5 5 foot slug with a blue crystal in their forehead also has one enormous buck tooth. So I don't often take this form. I'm a bit self-conscious about my voice.
And what is wrong with your voice?
What? There are so many voices in Olaxis, and I don't know. I guess I feel like mine is a bit pedestrian.
But your voice brings harmony amongst a universe of dissonance. Please, whenever within my presence, be yourself as you choose to be.
Oh, well, I suppose we have a few days before we reach our destination. Oh, okay.
Then let them be comfortable.
Okay. And Atash is going to, in that weird, like, is it psychic? Is there just something you can't see that's happening? Atash is going to very happily just drag Oppo's body to the cryo chamber to put her in storage.
Just for later.
For later.
Yeah. So if you're going to spend time in this form, I guess Ciela Gloss would also get an opportunity to.
Well, right. So I guess then at some point, which is why I said to her, never let a corpse go to waste. I suppose I would have introduced myself in Zivoi form, but then also taken, since I know Ciela Gloss has a particular interest, I would have taken her to the cryo chamber to show her Oppo's uninhabited body.
I volunteer.
Actually, yes.
This is how that campaign ended.
It is. It took some work, but actually, yes.
That's very interesting. As you practice a different sort of resurrection.
Yes, it's really quite interesting. I have been practicing accessing their minds when I am using their bodies as well. It is amazing. There's a lot more sentience and knowledge in the physiology of the brain than I ever realized, I have to tell you.
Oh, you must tell me more about that. And I take copious notes.
Yes. I actually am gonna, in that case, I'm gonna go out and go back to my chambers. Where are we? A castle?
My
I'm gonna go back to my
chambers.
quarters. Yeah, right. And I'm gonna find my copies in triplicate of the forms that I filled out about Cotyledon
Yeah, and
that
your
I gave to the
experience.
juror.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share those with Ciela Gloss as well.
Nice. Ciela Glass is very interested in all of this because if there's sentience in a corpse, that's very relevant to her studies.
Absolutely. And I think it should be said to, you know, at the end of last game, because you did have Cotyledon with you for so long.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Cotyledon, who was a plant type
Right.
of humanoid, it turned out that was an incompatible match. And after all, with all of your talents, there was nothing you could do to maintain that form. It just like a plant, it just wilted, and no matter how much water or sun you gave him, he just couldn't survive being
But-
occupied. Yeah.
RECYCLE Recycle,
Mhm.
he is now part of the fertilizer for Wanda's new growth.
Yeah, which the Zur had also requested you do,
Right,
to let him continue to live through the system
No.
here.
No.
Yeah, so you can get those interesting notes. I think, Ciela Gloss on a plant humanoid with
Yeah,
resurrection.
I think I would excitedly show Atash my leaf project.
What is your leaf project? Can we just ask about that? Real
Oh,
quick?
so that I took a leaf from
Yes.
I plucked it so that it would die.
Okay,
And now
mhm.
I'm using magical stuff to try to make it alive again. I don't know if anything would happen to it or if there's
Oh.
any sort of like magical stuff roll I can make, but I've just surrounded it by powder and crystals. I don't think I fully absorbed. Yeah, I don't think I fully absorbed how much Atash likes crystals yet.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, we have some days. Let's say after 3 days, what kind of skill would you like to make to conduct your magic? What fuels Ciela Gloss's magic? Is it a cerebral thing? Is it a social thing? Is it what is it?
I feel like it's probably a cerebral thing, but I also put a lot of points just in power as a physical thing.
That makes
just
sense to me too.
as like, I just feel like there's a lot of different things I could do with that, but that doesn't seem like it makes sense for my leaf project. Maybe it's my
The raw
knowledge.
power of the leaf. I mean, yeah, you've been training to be a necromancer for how long now? I mean,
Ciela Gloss says since she was 6.
okay. She says since she was 6, which it is hard to tell what age Ciela Gloss is, I imagine, being an inherently wrinkly being.
Very, very wrinkly.
But all right, so let's go ahead, and I think this is, what are you trying to get the leaf to do? And then we'll talk about the difficulty. Yeah.
So you know how like a succulent leaf,
Yes.
they propagate by making like a little BB?
Yes.
I'm kind of trying to do that, but magically.
Okay, so you're making like an undead succulent.
Yeah, I want to make an
Your
undead
room?
succulent. 100%.
I love
That's what I'm
this.
doing.
Okay. I love this. Let's say difficulty 3 for you because
Complexity 3.
yeah.
Okay, roll. No!
Oh, no!
I will keep trying this whole campaign.
Yeah. So yeah, you have set it up and you're like, oh, this is very interesting because also the ship itself seems to have this kind of like magical growth going on. So you're like, maybe this is the prime space to do this. But after 3 days, you know, you've gone through the rituals, you've said the words, and you've set everything up, and this it doesn't seem to be working as it should. You've gotten this spell to work on like Golgi plenty of times, but maybe there is something different about the magic here on this ship.
Can I suggest a reason it's not working?
Sure, absolutely.
My crystals keep going missing.
Weird. They're just like slightly different every time.
No, sometimes they're like one will be removed, like but like the others are like pushed together, so it looks like there's like someone's trying to make it look like there's still a bunch.
How odd.
Or something. It's so strange.
So
there's
every
only
now and again,
3, I'll notice.
Yeah, every now and again though, like there are 2 for a while, and then eventually there's a 3rd again, but it's not the same crystal.
It's not the same. Your crystal was nice.
Where did this one come from?
Yeah, there's something so odd about the ship. It's replacing your crystals.
Wanda, stop it.
She's like, honey, I swear I have no interest in any of that. That is just a mess. Oh god. And Vam, you get a lot of private messages. I think now that like Atash has gotten really obsessed with crystals, and like Ola was kind of the one that like took the brunt of complaints before. So Wanda just likes to complain to you. You get a lot of private messages where Wanda's just like, I just don't understand what's going on here and why we're going back out there into the can't you get a normal job like anyone else? Big adventures.
Yeah, Vam is trying to just send little like calming doses of messages like it'll be brief, it won't be as tragic as before. Like
you don't know, we're only in episode 1. Who knows what will happen?
We if a sign of danger arrives, we will put your safety as well as the safety of the crew as our top priority.
Whatever. And she like blinks off, and you get like a very sharp like beeping sound as she leaves your message bay. And so the week passes like this, getting to know each other, getting to know the little odd things about each other, you know, forced roommates in a very small space for a week. And so as that time passes, you know, you have these run-ins with each other. But eventually you do pull up very close into the system, the Fulnala system. And as you get out here, you have basically encountered no one so far on your journey. The Ghost Belt is a wide, open tract of space. It's so dangerous to be out here because it's so unpredictable when the burn is going to jump or shift. So most people just ignore it. They just avoid it altogether. The only people who do routinely travel through are pirates, are criminals, are people who are looking to exist beyond the normal laws of the Heart Worlds, or people who have been forced to exist out here. But you don't have any run-ins as you are traveling through this desolate part of space. And of course, always in the distance, there is that thin horizon of orange, far, far away from where you are, but still there, still ever present, as you pull into the Fulnala system. So, yeah, you can easily get into the system, which is mostly a lot of moons here, all traveling around Fulnala, which is that very large central planet that is, again, covered in these mushrooms. So I think as you look down in it, you know, when you look from Earth far away, you see mostly the blues of the ocean. But as you look on Fulnala, you see this, like, patchwork of greens and purples and oranges covered in this almost kind of bulbous surface. It seems like this mushroom forest expands over the entirety of the planet. So it creates sort of an odd phenomenon as you look at it this far back from space.
Cool.
Sorry.
So are we gonna go to the furthest planet?
I mean, that's sort of the big planet area here. I mean, that's like the really only notable planet.
Is there any indication of any other ships around the planet or habitation, you know, other sentience on the planet's surface? Is there anything that we can detect
Yeah,
from
if
up
you
here.
would
Excuse
like,
me.
if you would like to like use Wanda's basic scanners or anything, you can certainly do so.
Yeah, I think that's a good start, particularly to make sure, to see if there's any other ships in the proximity since we've just arrived in a new system.
Sure. And would you like to lead the efforts on the computers here?
Sure, yeah.
All right. What kind of skill would you like to use to kind of get sensory information of the area
Well,
around you?
I was gonna say computer since we're using the sensor array, but since Little Voice convinced me to shed Oppo's body for the duration of our trip, my mental dice are now garbage. uh,
Do
you know what I would actually like?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask if Little Voice or Cielo Glass had any experience like piloting ships or running computers, anything of that nature.
Cielo
Little
Glass
voice
knows
is old.
nothing.
Nah, none of this.
Boomer.
Boomer.
Oh no.
Okay, I'm gonna actually use skullduggery
Ooh.
because I want to use Wanda's scanners, but I am looking at them with an eye for like things that aren't there that should be. Right? Wanda's good enough with her scanners on her own of like detecting like there's a great big ship right to your left, right? But something that like might be cloaked or hidden, we got to look in the negative space.
Got it. Okay, I like it. Let's go ahead then, and I think since you're so acutely looking for like non-differences, let's just do a difficulty 3
Okay.
on this.
All right. And a row. Oh, wait. Here we go. All right. Huzzah!
Okay, 2 passes, 1 fail, so this is a 66% good campaign so far. So, all right. So as you are looking, because Wanda is sending out her normal scanners, and there's clearly nothing pinging, obviously, around. There doesn't seem to be the presence of any other ships in the area. So you're looking at kind of the weird spaces in between, or, the static in between the normal readouts. And you notice something. It's like a signal that's coming through, almost like a radio frequency. That kind of catches your attention. That's a little bit odd that you notice seems to be emanating from the surface of Falnala.
Yeah, can we tune Wanda's receivers, sort of, twist the dial, as it were, to try and get that a little better in focus?
She's like, "You want me to turn on the radio?" That's...
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, Wanda, but yeah.
And you hear that as the radio is tuning in, and you hear like a great deal of static comes across that I think emanates over all the speakers across the ship before you start fiddling with it a bit more, and it turns into a low, steady voice that you can pick up here, and you hear. This is the captain of the Midnight Oil. We are crash landing on the surface. Please, if anyone is in the area, please, we need assistance. The message cuts out.
Oh.
Vam.
Yes.
Who are we looking for again?
Oh, no.
Demir, the Zavoy member of the ARC. But I
think
don't
that's what the
recall if they
person's name
mentioned
is.
it was a captain. Probably was.
Probably was.
You do know that they were on board a ship that was looking for oil, and the ship would have likely had a captain if there was.
And we didn't get the name of that ship, though, did we?
You did not.
Okay, because Atash legitimately remembered nothing. I couldn't remember if we'd heard that ship's name before.
You know what? I'm gonna give it to you. The Midnight Oil was indeed the name of the ship.
Okay, that's okay. We were gonna go down regardless. Don't you worry. But
you
yes,
could text. You could text. Jade real
Jade
quick,
Crucible,
and she
there you
would
go.
get back to me like, "Yo, it's the Midnight Oil. Like, look,
Hey,
look out.
you up? Got a question.
Hey, you
no,
up?
not that question.
You up? Really? Oh,
Really?
what?
Time zones.
It'd be
man.
interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we might have found someone in Dithreth. Probably, maybe the person we're looking for.
Ah. Well, then let us seek out their signal.
Yes.
Have
Have you attempted to Have you attempted to reach them?
No, I was just going to say I would like to attempt communications, and also, was there anything on the message that indicated why they were crash landing?
No, so what you're
Okay.
picking up here, it's like if you tune back in again, it's that same clip of
Mhm.
a larger message that plays over and over again. So maybe it's some sort of beacon that
Right,
has been
right,
left
okay.
out, but it's just the same clip over and over again. This is the captain of the Midnight Oil, requesting help. We're crash landing on the planet, just over and over, and it cuts out every single time.
Uh-huh. It
I
just
sup-
cuts out. Does it sound so sorry? Does it sound like there's never mind. Go ahead. Ciela Gloss. Oh my god, words.
Is there a way for us to follow this beacon? And I just kind of like flop my hand on the buttons.
Stop! What are you?
Oh.
Get your paws off of me!
He's very
Um,
delicate.
I can, I suppose, trace the source of this. We could get a general area, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
It looks like it's somewhere here on sort of the north side, and she'll pull up like a hollow map of the planet that kind of like spins around up on the dashboard, and then this like little red blinking light. If we just fly to the other side, we should be able to. Well, I don't know if we're going to be able to land, to be quite honest. It doesn't look like there's anything around to land on, but I can at least get you there, above it.
If required, I could go down on my own and do reconnaissance.
The splitting the party thing the last time we were in the ghost spell, and it really didn't go great.
We do not have to split. If you would like, I could carry one of you with me.
Oh, yeah, because you're a mech.
I'm a mech.
Somebody can ride inside of him.
Get inside my face.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
Climb on in so cozy.
Let us consult with Wanda first. Wanda, dear, do you foresee a very difficult path towards a landing? A safe landing?
Yes.
I can't. I love her so much. I missed her.
Ola was the only one around here with any kind of piloting experience, so yes, I definitely see a problem.
Hold on. I might be able to do something about that. And Atesh will go and put Oppo back on, because Oppo was very good at things like computers and engineering.
I can certainly get you down to the surface automatically, but you're gonna have to land manually if you're even hoping to get somewhere safe. And I'm warning you, don't mess me up.
I would never dream of it, Wanda.
All right, so you're gonna make a piloting check to try and get.
I
All right.
guess so.
Whew. What do you want to use to try and bring Wanda in to this mushroom world?
Yeah.
The Mushroom Kingdom.
Let's say, I gotta mark my, there we go. Let's say, perception, just to sort of keep all of the sensors, in one eye, and the actual, like, whatever I can see from the Wanda's windows in the other eye, and this isn't really how eyes work, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
So let's do perception.
All right. I think this, let's see. This is going to be pretty hard. So I'm going to make this complexity 4 on this
Great. Now,
one to try and land safely on the planet's
I
surface.
figured out how to modify my dice, and now I have forgotten.
Can I help him somehow? Just because I feel like we need to.
I mean,
I do,
think
for
you
what it's
can
worth,
go
when I'm in-
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, I think if you want to sit in the co-pilot seat, you can certainly assist, which will reduce the complexity of the roll.
Yeah, I'll do
Also,
that.
for what it's worth, when I'm in Oppo, my mental dice are D10s. So we're going on a D10 here.
Okay.
So, all right. So Vamfam is assisting.
Yeah, Vamfan sits in the other co-pilot chair and is helping calibrate your directions levers.
Yeah, power to the engines.
What
Power
do
to the
co-pilots do? What do they do on a plane? I don't know. Does anybody know?
All right, so complexity 3 in that case, you said?
Yes, since
All right.
you're being assisted.
I'm so nervous. This isn't usually A-Dash's MO. Here we go.
Oh, okay. All right. It's a 75% good campaign. Yes. Okay. So as you bring down Wanda towards the surface of this planet, of course, there is that slight like shudder as you pass through that initial atmosphere and land like down, rocket down towards the surface here. And once again, now that you're below like kind of the cloud line, you can see even more distinctly just this forest of these mushroom trees. Honestly, they stand about 30 feet tall or so very large, and again these pinks and oranges and purples and greens that just like cover this planet here. And as you are heading towards this radio signal, you can certainly tell now visually where you are headed. You can see that some of these mushrooms have like collapsed and been torn apart by the impact of something very large, forming this kind of crater shape amidst this mushroom line of trees here. And as you pull in and around and, you start to do this kind of circling down maneuver as you are finding a place to land, you see, you are going to have to like pull and like go up in the 180 and kind of slide between these trees with these big caps and land in between these 4 very tightly packed areas here. So as you do so, and you all feel, Wanda does have like gravity that's kind of balancing out as you are landing, but the ship still is swooping and turning as you slide in between these 2 trees. And with a sharp maneuver, pull at 90 degrees and then land down, and you just hear a, oh my God, coming from Wanda as you feel, the little feet on the bottom of your ship engage and you settle on the planet.
Well done.
Well, thank you. That was my first time.
What? You didn't tell me that.
No, it wasn't her first time, but it was mine.
Just get off my ship.
I told you we'd have your safety as our first priority.
Okay, whatever. We still have
Delivered
to get
on
out of here
promise.
too, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, out we get.
Okay. Y'all load out onto this planet here. And Wanda will let you know that, there is air here for those of you who do require it. And that the planet has an atmosphere very similar, an M-class planet, they would say in Star Trek. So you can, of course, breathe here, and there is like water. You will not be crushed by gravity as you disembark. So you lower down this, the back of Wanda and step out into this grove. And again, it's gorgeous, but also it's very cold because you're under the shade of all of these giant mushroom caps. So sunlight doesn't actually permeate to hit the ground down here. And the air smells spicy almost as you are moving through. There's a lot of different scents, and then that sweet underlying scent of decay that you recognize from all fungus species. As you kind of step through, the ground itself too is almost spongy, like you're walking on the cap of a mushroom here. But yeah, very clearly close to you can see, through the parts in the mushrooms, that there is this crater that has formed and crashed into the center of it amidst these broken mushroom stalks is a ship that has been torn into 2 pieces. And so you can see, the glints of silver and big pieces of machinery amongst the wreckage kind of further away from you all.
As we approach, I'd like to use my kitty cat ears to try to listen if there's anything unusual or anything moving or alive.
Yeah. Okay, so what skill do you want to use for that?
I would like to use perception.
That makes sense to me. All right, and I think you're probably pretty good at this, so let's just do complexity 2 on that.
Okay. Yay! I did a thing.
Okay. Wow. Okay, y'all are all pretty good, I guess.
Okay.
Whatever.
We at 80% now? Okay.
Whatever. It's fine. So you are listening to the area around you, and somewhere far in the distance you hear a squawking sound that could be some kind of bird. But other than that, this is a very quiet planet. Mushrooms themselves are very spongy and thick, so you think that probably the sound on this planet doesn't travel very far with everything around you. You do every once in a while hear the occasional like electric sparking sound coming from the wreckage in front of you. So you think probably some systems are maybe still on or half on or something. But other than that, it's complete silence.
I'll communicate that to everybody and just add, but I hear nothing alive. This planet so is beautiful. Mushrooms to recycle life from death.
Yes, I haven't seen groves like this since back home.
Yeah.
Excellent conservationalists, mushrooms.
Yeah.
I hear the spark so of electricity, so perhaps some of the computer things are are still on.
Yeah. And this wreckage is, probably, like a few 100 feet away from where you are, so be very easy to walk over to it.
We walk over.
Yeah, especially if you
I
don't
don't
hear
think-
any signs of life. Seems safe.
I don't think we actually attempted to make a contact with them when we were on the ship still, so.
I think we did, and it was just this
Yeah,
recorded
it was a
beacon. We
radio
couldn't-
signal.
It was like
Yeah.
a beacon
Missed
that just
that.
kept repeating the signal unless
Wow.
transmitted message.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right then. To the crash.
Yeah. So as you do step closer, that spongy layer that you're walking on, it takes a sudden dip as this big crater has been like just crash landed, exploded outwards. You do see chunks of this mushroom-like substance that have been flung in all directions from the impact of this giant metal vessel here. And what you have in front of you is clearly a plasma mining vessel. So you can see that like bonded to the different parts of the ship were lots of like drill heads and like kind of large machinery, like construction type machinery that basically the ship itself would be able to modify from being a flying vessel into like changing into these construction vehicles. So a lot of that heavy machinery on the outside has now just been flung in different directions, and you see, cracked stocks and like broken caps wherever it's landed in these big piles here. But the main body of the ship is sitting in this and has been torn completely into two halves, one of which is like tipped upwards, so you can't really see on the inside of what's going on here, but the other is kind of like laying open-faced so you can see down the barrel of where there was this main control area, and you see some bent and twisted doors that would lead off to different parts of the ship in front of you. And of course there are the broken smattering of wires, and every once in a while you see like a spark of blue come from one of these torn halves here.
There's a lot of wreckage around, but can I try to take a closer look and see if I can recognize footprints, like people leaving the wreckage or blood of some kind, anything like that?
Sure. What would you like to use to kind of investigate the area?
Let's perception.
Okay.
Let's try perception.
All right. Let's go ahead and do a complexity 3 for that, since things are kind of a mess around
Okay.
here.
Got it. Cha.
Okay. So Vam starts kind of surveying the outside areas of this wreckage, the periphery. And what are you all doing while Vam is doing this?
Little Voice would like to. This is technically considered kind of like a dangerous situation for them, and I think he's got like his blade and his rifle, like they're all just like attached and connected because you never know. And yeah, I think he's probably using like his own internal sensors to depict any like threats, whether or not there's some sort of like not necessarily like the same fungal signature, but if there's a different type of organic signature around.
Sure. What kind of ability would you use for that? Like, what kind of scanners or special senses do you think Little Voice has?
That would probably be perception.
Okay, yeah.
Is my guess.
So let's go ahead and set that at complexity 4 if you're just trying to determine any other kind of life signs or anything in the area.
Yeah, like yeah. I mean, they could be beasts, could be other sentient beings, stuff of that sort. Something that's just not flora.
Right. Nice. Okay. So you're scanning the area here, and we have Vam looking for footprints on the outside. Atash and Ciela Gloss, what are you two up to?
Can I try to do a magical thing?
Sure.
I want to try to talk to a mushroom.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which
How
I'm
do
going
we
to
do
use,
that?
I want to use like I feel like probably a lot of my magic. She's tuning into something that she wouldn't have learned from the Mortem Syndicate. She's tuning into something deeper, and I think utilizing my presence rather than my knowledge.
Sure.
Let's do it. Okay, cool.
Is this like a kind of magic that you think Ciela Gloss has done before, or is this new?
I think she's tried to speak to other plants before, but not giant mushrooms.
Okay. All right, then I think if this is something you routinely do or try to reach out to beings, let's go ahead and make this just a complexity 2 for you.
Yay!
Okay. What are you doing? How do you interact with this mushroom?
I think I'm going to sprinkle a circle of that fluorescent powder that I have, and then I just kind of sit in front of it and close my eyes and like try to reach out with my mind, like, oh, devourer of deaths, speak to me. What did you see here?
Sure. And I think with that, because mushrooms, you're tapping into the natural way they think and are, so you get more like feelings and kind of sensations as opposed to like words. And you get initially a feeling of shock, of surprise, of pain, an unanticipated just pain, and then loss. And then you get a sense of like eagerness, like, and hunger, and then it travels to disappointment. And that hunger is not sated.
Okay.
I think is the
Makes
the
me a little
experience
worried
you
about
get.
the mushrooms. But okay. Okay.
Yeah, you do get a
Pet
very
mushroom.
a carnivorous feeling from these mushrooms, which is not what you're used to.
I back roll away.
Oh boy. And then
Do a cat thing? Do you finally do a cat thing?
I guess I do a cat thing.
Oh,
yeah.
and Bam is like, ah!
I knew it.
And then Atash, what are you doing in this moment?
Actually, Atash, carefully and as quietly as they can manage, but I think they're going to start to approach the ship. Everyone else seems to have sort of the surrounding area covered pretty well, and presumably if any of them detect anything that we should know, they'll hopefully let me know. So I think just very, quietly and carefully heading over to the half of the ship that's like down that we can sort of get into the interior of.
Sure. And what kind of skill would you like to use as you're kind of like searching the wreckage or looking for any sort of clues here?
Let's see. If we make another perception check, we are legally obligated to just play D&D. So,
come on now.
Let's not do that.
We have to switch the
oh.
show. It'll be a whole mess.
I know, it's all terrible. I think I will actually use Streetwise because, again, I'm going to look for things that look out of place, right? Since we got the distress beacon, Atash has wanted to know why the ship went down. So, we're going to look for bits of, I don't know, wreckage that might indicate like an explosive or, just things that are not quite where they sort of should be.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and, I think just a complexity 2 for that.
Okay. Let's do it. C2. All right.
Okay. So I think as you all are investigating and talking to mushrooms and looking around the area, several things happen at once. So let's go ahead and start with Atash. As you are picking through kind of your way through the ship here, again, what you notice is the lack of things. There are no bodies on board the ship. There are no signs of, or like obvious signs of violence of any kind. You're also starting to notice too, a lot of if a lot of people lived on board the ship, there would be some things left, maybe like communicators or like handheld devices or little computers, something like that. Everything seems to have been taken. Like all of these devices aren't here. The people aren't here. And you're picking your way through and starting to notice that. And then Vam, as you are circling around this entire area, you do find this trail of tracks here. You can very distinctly tell that there were 5 larger sets of tracks that kind of head out in the south direction. And these tracks seem to belong to different kinds of sapient species. But surrounding them are these flanks of lots of these little bipedal tracks, as if there were many, many small creatures escorting these footprints on either side here. And I think as you're taking this in, and Atash, you're making that discovery, and then Ciela Gloss, you're like, the mushrooms are a little bit strange here. Little Voice, you are looking out, kind of scanning the area, and you do 1 routine scan, 2 routine scans, 3, and then motion registers. As all of a sudden, you recognize that there are lots of beings somewhere around you, very, very close. And I think just as you register that, it's enough time for you to back out of the way as this like barrage of missiles just lands at your feet here, as something has fired off a little gun from somewhere behind the tree line and landed at your feet. And you hear this shrieking, "Gotcha!" like coming from beyond the tree line, as you start to see all these little like fuzzy faces pop out from behind the mushroom caps. And that's where we're going to end our game for today.
No, wait, what?
Oh my gosh! What is happening?
First contact, no.
Oh no, it's not going well.
Tiny missiles.
Tiny missiles are being fired in your direction. Yes! Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the action for the first episode of After Midnight. Things get very hot and heavy from here on in. So thank you all so much for being here. But this is the part of the show. We have about 13 minutes left here or so. I always like to, a big part of this game, a big part of the rules of this game is making sure to check in with your players before and after, in particular about their story paths. So story paths are sort of the leveling mechanic in Burn Bryte, where it's almost like a side story or like a beeline story you can think of, that each of the characters is on their own kind of developmental arc. So since we're all new here and we all chose new story paths for this game, I wanted to go around and kind of talk a little bit about each of your paths, sort of the general like arc and what we can expect. So Lisa, do you want to start and like talk about your story path? What are we working with Ciela Gloss?
My story path for Ciela Gloss is double life.
Ooh, oh my gosh, What is that? What's that about?
So it's basically you live under a fake identity you create, and you could be hiding from someone dangerous, executing an undercover mission, blah, blah, blah. Ciela Gloss is hiding from her family. The previous story path she'd completed was on the run. And she'd found herself a double life on Golgi the Magnificent.
Ooh, that's cool. So that's like your whole thing about like, was I really here? I love it. Cool. I wonder where that's gonna go. Oh man, and Eno are like, so Eno in the world of Olaxis are very powerful people with a lot of money and funds and resources. So it's pretty scary to be on the run from an Eno family.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, fun. Eugenio, why don't you tell us a little bit about, oh, and I should mention too, so since Eugenio and Nassim played in the last season, both Atash and VamFam completed a story path. So I asked Lisa and Gnome for their characters to have had already completed a story path and then starting a new one. So it's sort of like the level 2, like that we're all at. So that's the reference there to having a story path and then adding another one on. So, Eugenio, what are we looking at for Atash this time? Atash is a little different, huh?
Surprising no one. Atash has sort of perhaps over course corrected from the wide-eyed, excitable country bumpkin of a Zavoy that they were before. Excited, they sort of really had a kindred spirit in what was Jess's character's name? Lou. I kept getting stuck in a loop between Opa and Oppo and all of the. Anyway,
okay. This year has been 10 years long, so we played 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Truly. So whereas before Atash and Lou sort of were the excitable newcomers to outer space, now Atash sort of, things are what they are, maybe a little jaded, but they have now found their love of crystals out in the universe and are a seasoned traveler in search of new crystals. So my new story path is called Temptation. You enjoy experiencing the pleasures of life, while others may have a bleak outlook on the world. You see no reason not to enjoy what life has to offer. And of course, the story path suggests some vices that you fall prey to, but I didn't like any of them, so I had all of these lovely humans here help me figure out what Atash's temptation was, and we went with crystals.
We're addicted to space rocks. Oh boy.
Yeah. So the first event that I have to complete is basically just I enjoy crystals. It looks so good is the name of the first event, and it says you complete this event when you succumb to temptation and either participate in a new vice or in an old one in a novel way. So that's my first step along this path.
Oh gosh. Oh boy. I'm very excited to see where that goes.
It gets so much worse to the middle. I don't want to spoil too much, but like all of the middle steps are like, you screw up real bad because you're busy doing your temptation thing.
You're busy with your crystals. You're playing with your crystals.
I apologize in advance.
Oh, yes. And Gnome, tell us a little bit about Little Voice's story path.
So Little Voice's current story path is mourning.
Oh, no.
He is experiencing a deeply impactful loss, which is something I wanted to explore because it's really interesting with the Peacecraft.
Oh, yeah.
Had this level of immortality in a sense, and now there's that fear that they too can be completely unplugged and completely erased. And now you connect with others and you see others die.
Yeah.
I just thought that'd be something interesting to explore. So that's kind of where we're at with him.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most interesting things about the Peacecraft is like learning about that immortality and the way the Burn has changed their culture. So yeah. I'm really excited.
Oh yeah, the divide between the culture, like ooh.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited to explore that.
Push those buttons.
I love pushing buttons. If y'all watch season 1, I love buttons and pushing them. Nassim, what can we expect from VamFam this time? What story path are we on?
We're on the Artifact Unleashed story path.
Ooh,
because
what's that?
previously, I have to unlock the secrets of a mysterious artifact that I find.
Interesting. Very
Yeah,
cool.
I'm here for a very Indiana Jones kind of moment. We had our adventures, we gained our followers previously, and now we're doing good around the galaxy. So whatever comes our way in the process.
Very, very cool.
That's my path.
I'm excited because I feel like you all have given me a lot to play with, and that is just That is just a delight. Yes. All right. Well, that is pretty much our episode, everybody. So thank you so much for being here. We hope you enjoyed the premiere of season 2. Like I mentioned before, we are now going to be weekly Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time for the next 11 weeks after this. So make sure, please, to turn in next week, same time, same place, for the second episode. And of course, all of the episodes you see here, I upload those pretty much the day after onto YouTube. So if you do want to get caught up, or you're like, what do they keep referencing for season 1? All of those episodes are on the Roll20 YouTube channel, so you can definitely check that out. And of course, tell all your friends who couldn't make it tonight to the live show to check it out, because Burn Bryte is awesome. Thank you so much to everybody who donated to Code 2040. We are going to be running this charity week after week, so every time we hit that $100 mark, there is a chance to give away. I think we gave away a copy this episode, which is awesome. So thank you all so much for donating. Let's do it again next time. But let's go around and please, wonderful folks, tell the internet where they can find you. Gnome, where can people go to find you when you're not here in space?
Oh, well, I'm just always in space.
Yeah,
Any type of
space is
space.
awesome.
Honestly, that's like, right? This is where I want to be. But my name's Gnome. You can find me at Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Nomedic. I do TTRPG things, TTRPG spaces. And I don't, how in depth are we going with this? Because
We have
no?
5 minutes. I mean, we
You got
got
5 minutes?
1
All
minute
right,
per
cool.
person. So
Excellent.
Let's go.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you can catch me and your favorite Stitch Witch, Eris Savad, just brewing it up, having some coffee, and chatting with folks on Gnome Brew over on my Twitch channel. And come January, I've got 2 big projects over on Unmade Gaming's channel. If you like space, and I mean more space, we have a Coriolis game called Void on Tuesdays with Little Red Dot as the GM. And then on Thursdays over on that same very channel, how about some more space where I'm going to be running an Expanse RPG game, and just so much space. There's a lot of space. We love space.
Space is cool.
So.
And Nassim, where can the people go to find you when you're not in Olaxis space? I guess I should specify.
Out of my space time, I am in the web space at Nazgul, if you'd like to follow me there. And I am as I said earlier, regular cast member of the Venture Maidens podcast, streaming there every Wednesday night, every other Wednesday night, and an upcoming special bonus stream I don't know if we're talking about yet, but yeah, follow me everywhere else to find out what I'm doing.
Yes, we're not talking about that yet, but we'll. Anyway, Lisa, where can the people go to find you out in the world?
Hi, everybody. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Lisa Penrose. That's Lisa spelled with a Y, Pen Rose. I'm streaming a whole heckin' bunch this week, so do check out my Twitter page. My pin tweet has my full schedule, but I'll call out 2 things. Tomorrow, Tuesday at 5 on my channel, I am doing Tarot Tuesday. So if you're into witchy things and tarot cards, come hang out, bring your tarot deck, and we'll learn stuff together. And then Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, also on twitch.tv/Lisa Penrose, Celeste will be joining me over at D&D Community, where we talk about Dungeons and Dragons and drink nerdy teas. It's fun.
Yay!
Yeah.
And Eugenio, where can folks go to find you?
Look for me on the Twitters at DM Jazzy Hands. I always post there whenever I've got anything going on. You can also follow my Twitch channel here, twitch.tv/DM Jazzy Hands. That I think will be the next place you can find me tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. We have been going through the Dragon Age series of video games, and last week we finished Dragon Age 2. So tomorrow is our first session playing Dragon Age Inquisition if you want to come hang out there. Thursday afternoons and Friday evenings over on my channel, I play some Baldur's Gate 3, so you can check that out as well. And then on Sundays, it's back to space for me over on Cypher of Tears Twitch channel for Into the Motherlands at 7 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Pacific, a brand new sci-fi setting and a game system primed by Cortex, which was just released last week, the week before, whatever. New system, all very exciting. So come check us out over there on Sunday evenings. I think that covers what I do.
Man, my crew is so qualified to be in space. I feel so lucky. And if you want to check out all the stuff I'm doing, again, my name is Celeste Konowich. You can check out all of the RPG products I'm constantly designing, streaming, producing, podcasting. Best place to do that is to follow me on Twitter at @ckonowich. Check me out Wednesday night. We'll be live with an episode of Venture Maidens on the Venture Maidens channel at 7 p.m. Pacific. Other than that, yeah, thank you all. You're great. See you at Community on Friday. See you here next week. We love you all. And until next time, everybody, blast off.
Blast
Blast off.